Hey, what's going on? Miguel, host of Life Full Circle Radio. What's going on? So, been off for a few weeks working, is what it is. Lot going on. Why this camera's kind of jittery? Kinda weird. Lot going on in the world as we continue to try to figure out when and if we're going to get. Thank you, one of my wonderful children. Keeping me from being parched. We don't know when we're gonna get out of Iran. How bad it's gonna get. So we'll talk about that. Kev on Stage versus Christians. All of a sudden now, Kev on Stage just started off as a Christian comedian, and who, for the most part, he's a clean comedian. He did a little loud. And his little Ball Brothers joint that he's got with Tony Baker on. What is the platform everybody go watch ghetto stuff on? I don't forgot now. Tubi. It's actually pretty funny. They do these deals. They go in different cities, bring people up in the audience and engage with them. And I enjoyed it the one weekend. I binged it a little bit. But anyway, I guess he had a conversation with Shannon Sharp, and it was a conversation around the LGBTQ community. And now all of a sudden, there are Christians who say he ain't Christian. Got something to say about that. Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted by the Trump administration for doing what those type of organizations do, especially the government's been doing it for years, and supposedly now they're in hot water. Mental health. There was a situation with the former lieutenant governor in Virginia, who I don't want to show banned or whatever. He ended his wife's life and ended his own life, and which is horrible. But then Roland Martin went into a conversation initially, was talking about men's mental health, and I guess the internet didn't like it. So we'll get into that a little bit. Tucker Carlson, what is her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens. A lot of folks have called themselves splitting up from connecting themselves to the Trump administration. And I ain't having it. Y'all was rocking with Trump before. That's your man's, right? So don't try to back away from him now. Then we're gonna talk about How What. I don't know what Key has in store for me on How What, and then of course we're gonna get into our What Are You Watching? So here we go. You had plenty. I gave you plenty of time to eat your little fish stick.
And the sad thing is, this isn't water that I'm chugging right now, so bear with me.
Oh yeah, I can tell by the way that ice is clinking.
Not the clinking ice.
Yeah, the way that ice is clinking, it was something on top of that ice. Super producer.
Hello, hi everyone. It's been a while since we've been with you. We have been busy, but we have missed you. Oh, we're so excited.
Yeah, for sure. It was funny. Last couple of weeks, it's just like it's been almost to the point that up until the last minute, I'm like, I can't do it tonight. Sorry.
It has bbeen. One night, he was like, I'm gonna let you know. I'm like, you're gonna let me know, sir? I had to put on makeup for this.
For real. It was like what happened. It was in his. I have a project that I'm working on, and the client threw something at me that morning, like, we need it by the end of the day today, and I was like, okay, but so that kind of kept. And the next thing I know, anytime you get into editing projects, they're never as short. You don't never get it done as quick as you think you're getting it done.
Listen, I'm someone in marketing like you and drop deadlines and the whole thing. Yeah. When I didn't hear from you by 7:55, I was like, we just do it for another day. I'm okay. I'm just going to go. And I didn't even put on makeup. I knew how I was going to go.
Yeah. I was trying, but it wasn't working out. So it is what it is.
But here's the thing. In the past 3 weeks, we haven't been on the show. We have missed a lot to talk about with everyone. I mean, Trump had a disgusting, nasty message on Easter. Then he posted himself as Jesus after that, which was a crazy thing. The Iran war wages on. There's so many things happening. It's almost, instead of having to struggle to find topics, we're trying to weed out.
So much happens with this administration that it's hard to keep up. It's really hard to keep up with. Oh, that happened last week. Oh, I forgot about that. That's kind of where we are when it comes down to this administration. And so we just got to keep it moving, man. That's pretty much where we are. We just got to keep it moving and just hope that, Iran doesn't find. Can we just talk about how Iran is just like the way they trolling Trump right now?
Who gave them the idea of using Lego people? How did bad idea.
And evidently the Lego people are like, it ain't even worth the cease and desist because we're kind of enjoying this. I think we're gonna let them roll with this.
But even that, as a Lego company, whatever, I don't even know who owns Lego officially. Is it Disney who owns Lego?
My understanding that Lego is owned by a company in Denmark. I have to look that up. That's something that I read is in the internet street, so you know it's the truth.
Okay. So does Lego really want to go up against the bloodthirsty regime that is running Iran? I wouldn't be like, y'all, just let them have it. It's not that big a deal.
At this point, they're probably like everybody else. It's like, first of all, you got, what does it call them? Taco. Trump always chickens out. You know, they probably feel like, okay, he just running his mouth. We gonna have some fun poking the bear, because at this point, the bear done poked so many people that he can't. We're far down on the list of people that he wants to come back after. So
let's just talk about the Iran war. When this all first started, and I don't have specific notes for this only because so many things are happening. When this all first started, Trump said it was going to be a quick regime change, that it was going to be 2 weeks, and nobody believed it. And then it turned into 6 weeks. And then it turned to Pete Hegseth's coming on every morning at 8 a.m. And the reason why I know it's 8 a.m. because I'm getting the kids out the door, and he's going live at 8 a.m. on every network, giving everybody an update. Oh, we won, but we have to do this. Oh, we won, but we still have to negotiate. It's not winning if you have to have a conversation with somebody. And now there's like all these sanctions and negotiations where Iran is still going to get what they want. They're going to get all these concessions from us and all this money from us to open up something that was open before. It's ridiculous.
So we went around and called ourselves smacking them around. Then we turn right back around and say, all right, we're just going to lock our back door, and you still got to come ask us for permission, and all we're doing is telling them how tough we are, and then by the way, I was in Phoenix this past weekend, filled up my dad's car on regular gas at $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
$5 a gallon.
I drive a truck. I drive an SUV in Florida.
And I said to myself, and I'm looking at, obviously, and he can put regular in his truck. My truck takes premium. Fortunately, my truck is not sitting in Arizona, it's sitting in Georgia. So we haven't quite seen $5 yet, but it ain't far off.
Well, I live in Florida, and we are at $4.55. And, I can't put completely regular in the car because our cars actually stopped working almost.
Yeah, we had this. Because we had this conversation on the show about you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm putting.
You won't make that mistake again, will you? Yeah.
I won't. I'm putting the middle one in between, like the premium and the regular. Like, what is it, mid-grade?
If the car says premium, you put premium. That's sorry. That's what you get for having them highfalutin cars. It is what it is.
But the really thing is, President Trump's pick to run the Navy is exiting effective immediately. So Trump picked somebody, and they're just like, absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with it. So they're exiting effective immediately, as U.S. naval blockade has become a key issue in the war. And as Iran grows more aggressive on the water, seizing 2 ships on Wednesday. Let me tell you something about Iran. Iran don't care nothing about you blowing up their land. They don't care. They're a regime. They're a regime who, like I've said earlier, is kind of bloodthirsty when it comes to these situations. You want to blow up land? Fine. You want to blow up our people? Fine. You want to kidnap our people? Fine. A bunch of high school girls and middle school girls died? We don't care. What we care about is where the money rolls through.
The fact that you brought that up, one day I was just thinking, I said, imagine me living here where I live and having to be concerned about bombs blowing up half of the city that I live in, and we just have to rebuild it. And that's just something that we're always in the back of our mind, have to worry about that. And, it's so when after a while, like you said, it's kind of like people are like, sorry guys, I'm sitting up here trying to do a little promotion, get some more folk in here. But when you look at this situation and you say, how does it feel? And it's not a feeling that I want to experience, that people are just getting blown up. Like, the Middle East is such a place that you understand why those folks are as thick-skinned and as strong-willed as they are, because after a while you're just like, bruh, it don't even matter.
Doesn't faze them. The death of citizens do not faze them. They are an evil regime. And listen, they always, and what a lot of conservatives like to say is like, and they're saying against the Pope of all
Who's the evil
people.
regime?
Oh, Iran.
Mm.
So what a lot of Republicans have been saying, and the Pope have been saying, oh no, they've been saying about the Pope and other people, like, oh, you love terrorists and you like that terrorism. Like, no, what's actually happening is that the regime that's in Iran doesn't care about their people. They've never really cared about their people. They care about winning.
Mm-hmm.
So if they lose people, it doesn't affect them. Their main concern is keeping control of the Strait of Hormuz. That's their main goal.
I don't think that's their main concern. If that was their main concern, if that was their main concern, we would have had this issue with the Strait of Hormuz years and years and years ago, right? The Strait of Hormuz they've allowed traffic through that strait for many, many years. They allow that economy.
Because the U.S. and other countries have been respectable for Iran's thing. They're like, hey, so you guys doing this thing over here, we're not really fans of it. We're going to try to come in and help those people when we can. But let's just keep this open. We're not going to mess with y'all. You're not going to mess with us. And it's going to be fine. But then Trump comes along, not understanding that the area has a very sensitive balance that has to be maintained. And just like, no, we're going to do this. And we're bigger than you, stronger than you. You're just some dirt sand country that we can take over. And Iran's like, no, we're not.
No, they're not. They are a legitimate country of 80 million people. Right? And so when you think about it, going back to my example about land being blown up, right? If land in the middle of Oklahoma was blown up, like we're a country of 340 million people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are a country of 80 million people. So I'm certain that, let's just say from here to Arkansas, there was some land blown up in the middle of eastern Arkansas. We would not like it. We would be terrified to a degree, but it would not affect our day-to-day right here in Georgia or in Florida.
No.
And so as they're blowing up, whatever the U.S. and Israel and Lebanon and all this stuff is going on, I'm sure there's parts of the country, because I know people who've been back and forth to Israel. I know people who go to Qatar, and people who go to, used to go to vacationing in Dubai and all these places, right? And so now you're at a place now where folks got to really think twice about, hold on, man, we may mess around and be in some of these countries and in some of these situations, and, something terrible could happen. So I just don't know. I just look, and I look at it, and from the stock market, watching the fluctuation there, watching the valuation of there. When you talk about, there's so much stuff is going on. I saw Hegseth the other day, or maybe it was yesterday. Now he says that he's because of body autonomy and soldiers having their own rights. Now they don't have to get the flu vaccine if they don't want to get the flu vaccine.
Okay, here's the thing. Pete Hegseth is the absolute worst person to be leading us in this type of situation. He was a reservist. We have a reservist leading us. That's like somebody saying, hey, a CNA can be a doctor. It'll be fine. This certified nursing assistant can totally be a doctor. That's where we're at right now with Pete Hegseth running the defense department.
This is a good transition. The transition to the deflection of the MAGAs. And here's why I say it's a good transition. Pete Hegseth will run for president, or at minimum, he'll be on a ticket for vice president in 2028.
Ugh.
There will be conversation around Pete Hegseth. There will be conversations around, and the conversation around Tucker Carlson have already started.
Ew.
Yes, they have already started. You're on the conservative side. You haven't seen that. It's already out there. And here's
a lot of conservatives hate his guts. Well, maybe just MAGA hates his guts.
Hey, whose guts?
Tucker Carlson.
Okay, and here's the thing. But what we've seen over the years is that the conservatives hate these people's guts until it's time to go to the ballot box. And then they find ways to swallow that hate and say, for the good of the country, we're going to vote for these people. What's happening right now, supposedly the Republicans will get their clocks cleaned in 6 months. What month are we now? We're in April. So yeah, relatively in the next 6 months. 6-7 months, they're going to get their clocks cleaned with the next election. And that's going to have Republicans running scared. And in the meantime, J.D. Vance is running around being put in positions all over the place as someone of authority. He's over there.
They even have him at positions or have him at events that he just looks dumb at. Not dumb because of what he's saying, but dumb because, the rooms are less than 25% filled. Like the recent TPUSA event where
Mm-hmm.
Erica Kirk decided not to come because of
Mm-hmm.
security reasons, whatever. The
Mm-hmm.
reality was because it poorly sold.
Yeah.
They had the vice president show up to these empty rooms. Like, that is embarrassing, the fact that he is doing this type of shucking and jiving for the presidential nomination. We've never seen
Most
it
of
like this.
most of us have no idea what you're talking about, and
Oh,
that's
really?
good for them.
Oh, okay.
It's good because everything you're talking about may look bad in the moment, but 6 months from now, when Republicans get their clocks cleaned with the next election, and then it's going to be once again we're going to get back to the same old story. Oh, we Democrats and are going to take us over, and it's going to be insanity. And Trump is not. They're not going to back Trump for this whole. Is he going to be there beyond 2028? No, they're going to get him up out of there. But they're going to get the light version and the younger version of this. They don't want to give up with the momentum that they built.
You need brown people to win. And I'm not just talking about black people. You need brown people to win an election. And right now, the Republicans have no hope of having brown people win. We are taking away security for, security, security, I don't know what it's called, temporary status for Venezuelans. We're taking away for Cubans. We're taking it away for anybody brown and Hispanic in Florida. It's getting taken away, saying,
Why do you think we need brown people to win? You talking about the Republicans or just the country?
The Republicans. The Republicans.
The Republicans won't support a brown person for real.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the voters, not an actual person. I mean, they need actual voters. They need a tiny block of brown people to vote for them.
And well, they have that. They have plenty of brown people.
They're losing it. I'm telling you, as someone who's in
Okay.
that block and I hear other people, they are losing it. It didn't happen like in droves. It's slowly happening. There's one incident after another. You're taking away temporary status from Cubans. You're taking away from Venezuelans. You're taking away from Haitians who are actually working and not living off like the system. And you're taking it all away from these people, and you're deporting them. Now you have yourself, a lot of Hispanics are devout Catholics. Now you're saying the Pope is some evil, awful person that they shouldn't follow.
Mm-hmm.
A devout Catholic's gonna be like, yeah, no, I can't back that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just,
I hear everything you're saying. I do not trust people choosing in 2026 going into 2028. I do not trust people choosing their identity over being adjacent to power, and power are white men. And so is this country ready to step up and say, it's not just about the white men who are in power? Because that's what's happening. That's the way this country is being ran overtly. It used to be covert. We always knew that's the way it was, but now it's overt. Like, everybody, black, brown woman, you're out of here. Black, brown woman, you can't be a general. Black, brown woman, you can't be a CEO. Black, brown woman, you can't have a TV show. Everything is, bro. I'm looking at some of the TV shows that are getting major pushes right now. I'm just like, a lot of this stuff is trash. It's trash. Acting isn't good. Storylines aren't good.
Not the stuff I'm watching, but you watch Power, so there's that.
Whatever. So, but the point is that the music, right now the music business is, black artists are being marginalized, and what's happening is that regardless, no matter how hard you try, that Chris Brown Usher concert is going to be sold out in stadiums all over the freaking country.
They are charging crazy amounts of money for those tickets.
I know. And there's something else I caught wind of last night or this morning. What's the Attorney General of New York? I guess Ticketmaster and Live Nation just lost a big suit.
Yes.
Because they own 80% of all the venues and the ticketing and all that, and now they lost a big suit. They're gonna have to break that up, and I'm hoping that sets a precedent that not only do you break up a Live Nation and a Ticketmaster, but you break up a Paramount, you break up a Skydance, you break up all of these monopolies and all of these industries that have us in a chokehold. You know what I mean? It's bad enough with oil and gas, but when you start talking about the media, you start talking about food conglomerates, you talk about, just even in the industries of major retailers now that are going in and they're snatching up industries like plumbing. like Lowe's and Walmart, and some of these folks are saying, okay, we're going to go into the space where it's just like, okay, we're going to go into a space and start to offer home services, and it's already there. You go to Lowe's and you buy a TV, or you buy a refrigerator, and they want to sell you every plumbing services and home improvement, annual contract, and all this stuff. So it's like, what are the people supposed to do? The people who don't work for these corporations, what are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to do to make a living?
But here's the thing: how much money does Live Nation really need that you're charging $700 for this ticket for Usher and Chris Brown? Like that's $700 per person.
Right.
That's a crazy amount of money to ask anybody to pay. And I get it. They have learned, but they have learned that people will pay it. They've learned that. They learned that from Beyonce. No offense to Beyonce, but they learned it from her. That if you eat, they'll pay it. I mean, that's no other thing.
People want to be entertained. People want to have some sort of escapism. Usher, Chris Brown, Beyonce, what's her name? It's married a football player, the big one.
Oh, Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. You know, we just saw New Edition in that tour, which did really well. These entertainers are not making money off of any sort of sale of their music. The music is simply marketing. So they are charging what they have to charge to try to make a freaking living. So that's why you don't see the entertainers really pushing back on it. Shoot, if I'm Chris Brown, I can get $700 a ticket, and I'm filling the football stadium where the Atlanta Falcons play, and I'm gonna have 2 nights, and I just got to split this with nobody but Chris Brown. but Usher and his team, hey man, it's a terrible time for R. Kelly to be locked up. You know what I mean? I'm just saying facetiously. I'm just like, you messed up, bro. You could be out here making a killing.
He would be out here making a killing, but he'd be on the old people tour, but he'd still be making a killing. Even the old people tour is charging you $275, $300 a ticket just to come see them, you know, halfway shuffle across the stage.
Right. I'm saying it's like, this is all you got at this point. You know, the entertainment part is good. So anyway, but it's a lot going on. It is absolutely a lot going on, and so let's move on. I want to talk about this, Chris. Let's talk about. Okay, we can talk about Tucker Carlson
really quick. Tucker Carlson, who was often a Donald J. Trump side during the 2024 presidential campaign, is now expressing remorse for that sport, saying that he will no longer be tormented by his role helping Mr. Trump return to the White House. Mr. Carlson, a titan of conservative media who has broken sharply with Mr. Trump over the war in Iran, acknowledged that he was part of the reason this is happening right now, referring to the conflict. It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out, Mr. Carlson said in an episode of his podcast released Monday. You, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Joe Rogan can all kiss our ass. Yeah. Everybody was vocal when this was happening. Everybody saw the writing on the wall. Everybody saw how this was going to go. You all still held your Trump flag high. You held your MAGA flag high. Yep. And called all of us that we had Trump derangement syndrome and all that. No one's buying this apology. At least Marjorie Taylor Greene is making a better atonement than anybody else. Tucker Carlson, you're not. It's not atonement.
I always kind of looked at Tucker. You caught me mid-drink. I always kind of looked at Tucker Carlson like he was just the biggest baby. He was like a baby who grew up. And it was the laugh too. It's the he has this very annoying laugh whenever he thinks he's making a joke. But you know, Tucker Carlson will run for president. He will. I'm telling you. These people feel like, okay, now we there's a new level of conservatism. Here's what they're not going to do. They're not going to give up that ground without presenting someone who they feel, because what America has shown them, we will elect an entertainer. We'll do that all day long, right? And so now here we go. I almost just like the Democrats might need to put up an entertainer that might be liberal enough to be considered. Like,
but why? I hate the fact that Trump has opened this door.
The door is wide open. It is wide open.
But it shouldn't be wide open.
But it is. It is. At this point, it's made it a popularity contest. What is it? George Clooney has been heavily involved on this side. He ain't making no movies. I'm just looking at who is the pretty enough white boy that America will sit up here and say that because it's going to be a white dude. Everybody, why aren't you supporting? I supported Kamala Harris. She's an amazing woman, amazing, all that. This country is too racist to deal with a black or brown woman right now to run this country. We're dealing with it right now in the state of Georgia.
I mean,
Keisha Lance
They
Bottoms.
didn't even want a white woman. They didn't even want Hillary.
They didn't even want Hillary. They didn't even want Hillary. Like, you know, so you think they want Kamala Harris? Right now in the state of Georgia, we're dealing with it where Keisha Lance Bottoms is leading the Democrats as the Democratic nominee for the governor of Georgia. The three people who are leading on the Republican side, one who every day is telling us how much he's just like Trump. He's a billionaire. He's running around acting a fool. Then you got the one who is, I believe he's the lieutenant governor now, and Jones. And then you've got Raffensperger. Raffensperger is the one who was the attorney general who was there when it came down to Trump and his election back in 2020. So those are the three that you know that are there. They're going to be in the conversation. And on the left, you got Keisha Lance Bottoms, who's leading the race. And then you have Michael Thurman, who's a longtime politician in the state, but he's a 70-plus-year-old black man. This state will strongly consider them, but the way that this money is flowing, the way that the Democrats don't have the money that these Republicans have, they're gonna keep on. The rural side of it is a wrap. They're gonna fight it. But the point being is that they're going to find, will this country say enough of the Trump and the Trump acolytes? Maybe. But it doesn't, but that's not the only enemy. That's not the only threat that the world has, right? You've got people that, what's his name, that Pete Hegseth follows, that believe that women are only baby makers. They're just ovens. And they call themselves Christian.
But like I said, listening to a man who is a reservist, who has no real experience in management and leadership, all he is a loudmouth journalist that everybody thought was kind of handsome, and he's got thrown into the position. He's a DEI hire. He's the definition of DEI hire.
And he's sitting there. He's sitting there leading our, as he say, war fighters.
And here, let's go into the other thing with this. We all know that Pete Hegseth is an alcoholic. That has been in the conversation since since he was nominated.
Right.
Now we have Kash Patel, who's being accused by The Atlantic for being an alcoholic, and he is suing them for $250 million for defamation. And people in his corner, and I know this for a fact, have told him, do not do this. Do not sue The Atlantic, because the defamation for a person who's in public office is a lot higher than someone who's not. Like, you will have to prove that these things didn't happen. And if these sources happen to be like, yeah, you can use my name in public, you're screwed. And listen, we all know Kash Patel's an alcoholic. He drinks too much. Well, I want to put the alcoholic thing on him? No. But is he a party frat boy who got this job? Yeah, he is. We saw how he was at the Olympics. That was highly inappropriate for any political figure to be there chugging beers and cheer and celebrating with the hockey team. Celebrating, fine. Chugging beers in the locker room? No.
Yeah. Well, but this administration and this culture that we're in right now says it's okay. It's okay.
They've had to boom his door. You know what that means? They've had to boom his door?
No, what does that mean?
So what has happened multiple times apparently is that he was supposed to be in the office in the morning time. He did not show up to the office. They're calling and calling and calling. They couldn't get a hold of him. They're worried that he has died or something has happened to him. So they've had the SWAT team boom his door with the metal device that you use, has a handle on the side, and you boom the door with the machine to get into the door. His door has been boomed multiple times. This is for them to go in there and be like, oh, you're just hungover and drunk and asleep, rather than we thought someone kidnapped you or killed you. Some crazy liberals hurt you. Like, stop it.
I'm beyond having much of an opinion about these people, because until we get them out of these positions that they're in, this will go down as having to be just. This has to be one of the worst times in the history of this country. It just has to be. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to see it any other way. That the lack of leadership that we have right now is insane.
And Trump's approval Trump's approval rating right now is at 37%. And a lot of people keep saying, oh, there's so many presidents who had low approval ratings. Not in the first year. Not in the first 18 months of a presidency have we seen a president have 37% approval rating.
These
That
people
has
do
not
not.
happened.
They don't care.
Okay.
They don't
I'm just
care. They're
saying.
making so much money. Think about once they get out of office, the type of money that these people will have and how they will be able to influence elections. How much money Trump will have access to, and the people in
But
his
I don't think
acolytes.
that's true anymore. Little
Why?
Jared Kushner.
Oh, tell me
Look at
how.
again,
Yeah,
Marjorie Taylor.
I want to hear this. Why don't you think they have the resources?
They are despised from what I've seen. Like everybody who, once they get out of the office and they leave, people aren't like clamoring to work with them so they can make more money. People are shying away from them. Look at Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem left office, got some weird position that nobody knows about or what it is. We haven't heard from her or seen her since she got the new position. Nobody's wanting to touch her with a 10-foot pole. So how is she making the money and keeping the clout if
You think she's been out of office for a month, 2 months maybe? You think she broke now?
No, I'm not saying she's broke. What I'm saying is there will be no building of funds because nobody will touch her after this. And add on that her husband had that whole scandal with him being a crossdresser, which doesn't help.
I just think they have stacked, in my opinion, the way that they had access, the whole contract of the business that was in place for 4 months. I mean, if I'm 4 months, 8 months, my brain, 8 days, and they got $140-something million contract to do a TV ad of her riding a horse in the mountains in South Dakota somewhere. You think she didn't get a kickback from that ridiculous contract of a company that didn't even exist for 8 days and got a $140 million contract? Of course she got.
How long does that last? How long does that last?
Hey, how about you go ahead and how about you just throw me $30 million? I'll make it last. Right?
I'm just saying.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Like this isn't chump change we're talking about. These folks are playing with some high dollars, and we haven't seen. Here's the thing about when somebody disappears the way Kushner has disappeared for the last 8 years. He around somewhere making a whole boatload of money. He's stacking a whole bunch of dough.
No, they sent him to do the negotiations in Pakistan with JD Vance. Why? I don't know. They did.
Because he's living over there anyway, making all them deals over there in the Middle East. He's been over in the Middle East since the first Trump administration. So
I know.
My thing is, once these people are out of office, they're going to have so much money and resources to affect, at minimum, the American elections. Absolutely. Think about it. 80% of the media outlets in America are owned by Trumpsters. 80% of the local television stations, which means that all the mamas out here and the old grandmas who got a number of rabbit ears, they're watching television stations that are controlled by MAGA folk. When you look at...
And by MAGA, you just mean one person, Rupert Murdoch, because he owns
not
everything.
even no, it's not Murdoch. It's not Murdoch.
Who?
It's not Murdoch. You have the whole News Star, and the I have to look up the name, but these people have owned these local networks for many, many, many years. There was that whole montage that came out that had all of these local people saying the same propaganda that was going around the country. And because we don't pay attention to that type of stuff, we think it's not happening. It's absolutely happening. Like, and we're really so much, we live in these vacuums now because media is all about, we watch what we want to watch. We don't, I legitimately, I flew to Phoenix last week. As soon as I got off the plane, I started getting served up compression socks ads. Compression socks ads as soon as I dropped. And now I said, am I that old now that all of a sudden they assume I get off the plane and my ankles are swollen? I'm just like, and so we're so fed exactly what it is that the algorithms believe we're supposed to see and that we want to see and we need to see what products that we're buying. So there's conversations going on around. I have no idea. We don't turn on the radio and hear really what's going on in the world, in a lot of people's world. My 26-year-old daughter listens to the local radio station like we were. She's got a whole world over there that she's listening to that's being fed to her by the algorithm. Same thing with my younger daughters. Same thing with my wife. Same thing with my dad. Same thing with my stepmom. Same thing with everybody's living in the world they want to live in. When I get stuff, my stepmother loves Prince. I get stuff all the time since Prince is 10 years since Prince passed away. She sees it and she sends it to me because I love Prince too. And so you start to see that stuff and it's coming. It's amazing. I can watch stuff on my phone and look over at my wife and see all of a sudden it pops up on her thread. Mm-hmm. So what's my point? My point is that we believe that we know what's going on and we really don't know what's going on. We know what's going on in our personal worlds. But then we turn on the quote unquote news and we see people on Abby Phillips' show every night cussing each other out, acting a fool. Right? I try to find somewhere where I can get a good source of news. And I'm just like, but somebody will never be. I think Anderson Cooper will die on TV. Nobody ever talks about Anderson Cooper and what he covers. It's just like, it's cool. Anderson Cooper can talk whatever you want to talk about. Can we move on to Kev on Stage? We ain't got to that yet. Let's move on.
Can this be our huh what? Because I'm going to bed soon and because we are way behind today. But let's make the Kev on Stage thing huh what. If you have not heard, Kev on Stage did not go on Shannon Sharp. He went on, what's his name with the hat and the hair?
The hat,
well, how do we forget his name?
Right now, I don't know what's going on with my. It's got all my stuff. What? All right. So he went on the football Cam Newton. He went on Cam Newton's show. He went on Cam Newton's show and he talked about this situation. I'm going to play. It's the one clip that I do have queued up.
And while you're finding the clip, he went he was interviewed by Cam Newton and they had a whole conversation. But the conversation that is providing a lot of backlash for Kev right now, Kev on Stage, is his thought process on gays and Christianity. So take a look.
You could have kept talking. I wasn't ready.
How I saw love actually in my life work with somebody that was visibly a sinner, and the sinner in question was my brother. He had kids, he was shacking up, everything we all agreed was sinful. And he had not been going to church for years. And church was from like 11 to 1, 1:30 or so. When he first started coming, he'd come at 1:15 and sit in the back row. And everybody loved on him. Nice. Everybody knew he'd sometimes bring his son, all this stuff. 1:15 became 1 o'clock. Love, love, love. Come to my house for dinner. Come here. We're going out, right? He's standoffish at this part of his journey. Next thing you know, because people loved him out loud, here, come to dinner, 1 o'clock became 12:30. 12:30, love, became 12, became 11. Eventually, my brother was the superintendent of the Sunday school because people loved him from the back of the church to the front. In the midst of sinning this whole time, right? This whole time, over years, sinning this whole time, they loved him, made him feel welcome from the back of the church to the front of the church to eventually the pulpit. Now, that same church, there was a girl who was, I would say, masculine presenting. It was kind of understood that she was gay. Mom made her come to church. I don't care what you do. You're going to come sit on that third row.
Yeah.
That same church, she was not welcomed with the same love. So the third row became the fifth row, became the seventh row, became the back row. And when she could live her own life, she left the church. So I'm seeing...
And did not return.
Never came back. Never came back. One time when I was a youth pastor, this hit me even harder. There was a kid who was openly gay, right? The teens are just invited. He's like, this is my homeboy from school. I told him we playing basketball. We going to, Ocean Shores. We going to Space Needle. Like, it's fun for you. He came to church for a whole summer, right? I preach my same things, teach my Bible study the same way. One Bible study, Cam, one time, he goes to the bathroom. A deacon catches him on the way. He's like, you gay. Why you even here? You know that's a sin, right? Never saw the kid again. I didn't know this in the moment. Why you even in here with that sin? 3 weeks go by, I'm like, yo, where's your boy? And she's like, oh, they didn't tell you? Like, one of the deacons was like calling him out, said he needed to go to the altar for prayer and all this type of stuff. Didn't know him. He felt uncomfortable, never came back. So in my life, I've seen how love and acceptance versus making people feel unaccepted and unloved, that brought them one person in and pushed two people out. So for me, in practice with my own eyes, I'm not admonishing the whole church. I'm talking about my churches that I went to with my community. I saw what that was, and I'm like, I'm going to lead with love because I've seen what love can do, right?
So that conversation continues a bit, and it's on Cam's podcast. But I'll let you respond first.
I'm more annoyed by the Christians who are now coming after him, saying like, "Well, you don't read your Bible, and you don't understand, and you don't understand God, and that's not what God says." And it always annoys me when we can accept the man who's cheated multiple times, the woman who takes him back, the man
Mm-hmm.
who in a lot in some churches. I know this will probably not get us monetized. In some churches, there have been men who have been child molesters, and the church is like, forgive. They made a mistake. Maybe the girl did something, but when it comes to gays in the church, it is like absolutely not. That is against God. No, there's no forgiveness, and it's just bizarre. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, we're always looking for the villain. We're always looking for the easy punching bag, right? And what's, as you mentioned, and there's other stuff that's out there, and there's some other videos that are out there. The people in the LGBTQ community have a place in the church when it comes to singing and being in a choir and serving in other capacities. But when it comes down to being openly visible, then all of a sudden we throw them to the wolves, and it's hypocritical when it's all said and done. And what
It's hypocritical.
right, and what Kevin Sage is saying in this situation is that I'm leading with love, and I am really at a point where I'm beyond judging people because of their lifestyles. It's exhausting. It's something that is not
It's not
people talk about it's not
Christian.
Christian like. There's a lot of things that you want to call, if you think it's Christian like, we could have a long conversation, very long conversation. And at this point, we got too many real issues in this world to deal with than to just be worrying about that. And for people to attack Kevin on stage, who's someone who has been a great resource. He's someone that many of us spend a lot of times getting a lot of good laughs with Kev and him
And
being
who has
who he is.
been an exemplary Christian man. When you
Absolutely.
think about Kevin got married at 20, or no, 19. He
Yeah.
has been married to the same woman for the
Yeah.
past 25 years,
Yeah.
has 2 sons, has
Yeah.
stayed faithful. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know the personal life, but it seems like he's been faithful. He has brought other comedians up. He's always just like, well, I'm going to do this because I want to bring other comedians up because I,
Yeah.
would have loved this opportunity.
Yep.
How perfect do they want this man to be? As someone who watches this podcast and sees the comments that come in, how perfect do you want this regular, everyday human to be?
If I'm Kev on stage, I'm gonna let the internet handle these people, because Kev on stage is not one that really deserves a lot of smoke. He is someone who does his thing. He comes in. He's a great service to the community. He's a funny guy. The people he brings around him are funny folks. Tony Baker is not about Tony Baker don't play. He can defend his partner, and he's been out there basically letting them know. He said, "Kev may not cuss, but I cuss," and he out there letting people have it. If people don't know, Tony Baker is going through a whole lot. Lost his son in a brutal car accident. And comedy is his refuge, right? And so, when it's all said and done, this too shall pass. But we got to learn we got much bigger fish to fry than worrying about, Christians talking about how Christian Kevin Hart is. Man, that's the type of stuff, man, that just makes you just be like, man, I'm telling you, hey, Christian faith, hey, Christian church, y'all better get your stuff together, man, because we got some real big issues to be dealing with in the world to continuing to be so judgmental and shunning people and keeping people on the outside looking in. It's all hands on deck right about now, and that's kind of where I am with that. You got anything else on this before we move on?
Nope, I'm ready to talk about what we're watching because I'm watching a lot of stuff, and you seem to not be watching the good stuff.
All right, so what are you watching? What are you watching?
A ton of stuff. Okay, so I'm watching Unperfect Women on Apple TV. That is starring Kerry Washington and Kate Mara and Elizabeth Moss. It is a very interesting story, very twisty turny, very you yelling at the screen, and I will keep my same thing.
Sound like Chick
TV. What'd you say?
Chick TV? It's Chick TV.
Yeah, it's Chick TV. But let me tell you something. I am putting Kerry Washington in that Sanaa Lathan Michael B. Jordan box because it's always the same type of character no matter what she plays.
Kerry Washington is pretty much the
Yes.
same. Now I'm not gonna let you keep riding my man Michael B. Jordan, Oscar-winning Michael B. Jordan.
Yes, he was good in Sinners, but there was a bunch of other stuff before that. There's a bunch. Remember the bunch of stuff before that? It was all the
A
same.
lot of stuff that I really enjoyed. It was very entertaining stuff that
Enjoy
he's
it,
done.
love it, like it.
Mhm.
The other thing that came out is The Testaments. If you are someone who watched The Handmaid's Tale, if you're not, you're not going to get into it. But The Testaments is now on Hulu. Don't you? People watch The Testaments. It's also a very good show. It's well done, well written, good storytelling. I enjoy that show. And of course, The Boys are back. The Boys are back in town, baby.
You know,
The Boys are
I
back.
used to watch The Boys, and you know, shout out to my man Laz Alonso.
Yeah.
And it just got so gory and crazy that I just stopped watching it. I think I watched the first maybe 2 seasons, and then how many seasons has that thing had now?
Honey, how many seasons? 5 or 4? I think it's 5. This is their
I'm way
final
behind.
season.
This is
It
the
didn't
final
get
season.
no less
Okay.
gory. It has not gotten less gory.
I'm sure it has not. I'm sure, and after a while, it just got so silly to me. So we're watching. So we were Yellowstone fans, right? We liked when
Yes,
Yellowstone
I
had its
remember
run.
that.
And we're trying to watch Marshall's now. Marshall is the one where is it Casey, or am I mixing up shows? Anyway, the one that was married to the Native American woman, who was the Navy SEAL. Did you watch Yellowstone?
No.
Oh, then I thought you'd watch Yellowstone. Anyway, I have this thing just because I have an eye for production, because it's what I do. CBS has a phenotype. They have a way that they produce things. And they've turned this well-produced, what was on Paramount Plus, much more gritty in its production, into just a regular old CSI. And it's so funny. I was joking in Arizona. I said, I think CBS has the exclusive contract on all TV shows that are based on a government agency. They got FBI, CSI, they got NCIS, they got all of these different, now they got Marshals. The acting is so marginal. It is so marginal. And there's a son on there who's been there since he was a kid. And then there's a lead guy who's supposed to be the boss. He looks like he is on pills, high all the time. Like his timing is always a half a beat too slow. Like, get it out, buddy. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out. I was sitting there with my parents in Arizona, and I was just like, dude, this is a bit much. So we're watching that. And you're right. I'm not really watching much right now. We just finished. We haven't been on the show in so long. Paradise. Were you watching that? Were you watching that?
Yes, I watched Paradise. I finished Paradise. We haven't been on since I think we finished it. But Paradise had a lot of stuff. It was at the last episode.
You know what?
was
I
funny.
blinked. I blinked and didn't realize that Jane got up out the shower.
Yes, but where did she go?
To
She was
season 3.
severely, but yeah,
To
she was
season
severely
3.
injured, and also people are thinking that the system, whatever, I forgot what the system's called,
Yeah,
Jane, or
right.
what's
Whatever.
it called?
Well, it's not Jane. It's something else. But yeah.
Something
go ahead.
else. Just removed her, just rewrote it how it wanted it to be rewritten. Because that's what this whole thing is. Now it's about a kind of a time manipulation situation where these things have been happening over and over and over again in the computer under, the evil horse at the airport. It's just rewriting time.
Right. Yeah. So there's that. And I'm watching basketball. I'm watching how things are coming down with the WNBA contracting, because I got 2 babies that are hooping, and Lord knows, hey, if they're good enough and get to the point to get to WNBA, they could be millionaires playing basketball. So
They better. I have gone to 2 very expensive tournaments, and I want some return on my investment. So there's that.
What type of return you think we want? Right. All right. Good show.
Next time we'll be on time, guys. We're so sorry.
We'll try.